Let's face facts. If you're a writer, there's a 96% chance that you're an alcoholic. You think of a writer, you think of some drunk sitting at a typewriter, wearing a robe, cigarette hanging out of their mouth, glass of scotch in one hand, and a loaded gun in the other. As a writer myself, I can tell you that that stereotype is pretty close to real life. But what happens if you can't afford to drink a decent scotch while you're working on that next failure? If you're broke like me, you know just how difficult it can be to support your alcohol addiction. That's why I drink 40s. Listen, I live in New York City, one of the most expensive places to live in the world. But at my neighborhood deli, a 40 costs $3. That's $3 for 40 ounces of malt liquor. I don't care where you're from, that's amazing value. Welcome to Mikey's Discount Driving. I'm Mikey, and this is episode 2. So I guess this is a podcast. I'm actually very excited about this episode, mainly because of my guests. But before we get to that, I just want to reflect on the first episode. We had about 250 views, which is about 250 more than I thought I'd get. So, shout out to everybody who tuned in. Big shout out to simplyscripts.com for posting the episode on its front page. I very much appreciate it. So I just want to address a comment I made in the first episode. The comment was somewhere along the lines of screenwriters being some of the most boring fucking people in the world. Now, I actually think that's a quote, an exact quote. I've had a week to reflect on that comment, and after further review, I just want to say that I stand by that comment. Screenwriters are fucking boring. I'm speaking mostly about myself. Here's a good example. Not too long ago, I was having a conversation with somebody, and no bullshit, they fell asleep in the middle of the conversation. I don't really give a fuck what people think about me, if they think I'm boring or whatever. But it was my Uber driver. So, you're going 60 miles per hour down the Bronx River Parkway. It's not the best situation to be in. But I'm okay. Anyway, what else happened during the week? I lost 8 pounds since the last episode. Not from exercise. I've been sick. I have some kind of stomach bug. Been shitting my brains out constantly over the past week. I don't know if you've ever taken a dump so intense before that you had to take off all your clothes, but that it was that kind of deal during the whole week. So it was very painful, very inconvenient, but I lost 8 pounds. So hooray for me. So I want to get to this week's unproduced screenplay of the week. It's not always going to be a feature-length screenplay that I give a shout-out to. This one is a short screenplay. I actually reviewed it for Simply Scripts. I'm going to post a link to the review and the script in the description. The script is called Dear Friends, and it's written by Bryce, Smink. It's a very bizarre, very original script. It was a really fun read. It's about it's a high school teen who wants to identify as a deer, and his father, who happens to be a big game hunter, disapproves. And the whole script is pretty much, the father trying to kill the son, and the son trying to, win his father's approval. It's very bizarre, but it's very original, very fun. It's a horror comedy, and it's low budget. It's very low budget. So, if you're a filmmaker looking for something budget friendly to shoot, I highly recommend it. Um, one thing I want to say about the writer, his name is Bryce Smink. Now, this kid is a junior in high school, which fucking annoys me because he's really good. Not just for a 17-year-old, but like, he's a good writer. And he's only going to get better, and I see that as a threat. Uh, I'm just kidding, of course. But Bryce, shout out to you. Fantastic script. I hope it gets made. Keep doing your thing. You're only going to get better, and it does piss me off, but I can't hate. So Bryce, shout out to you, and go fuck yourself.
You're alone, right?
Yeah. Is it cool if I start filming now?
No, when do we get inside?
Why are you here?
I just thought it was really interesting, that someone hasn't left their basement in 6 months, not even to use the bathroom. Is that true?
Why would I want to go out there? I got everything I need right here. That's what's wrong with most people. They're weak-willed pussies and parasites who buy into that whole it takes a village bullshit. You know how many aliases I've used calling into radio shows?
I've had it up to my goddamn gills with the systematic feminization of this country.
Yeah, of course we want you. Get your own damn show if you think you got that much to say.
You live in your mom's basement.
Kid! No! Fuck you! What's so special about my loser son?
You really do hate your own mother.
She's a woman. Why wouldn't I?
There's some disconnect there, and if I could find it, what is hate? Where does it come from? Where does it go?
You want to know what gender you are? Reach down the front of your fucking pants and shoot fucking kite. Black Lives Matter. Do you call horses slaves? Liberal fucktard. Enough with the parades and the rainbow flags.
Dude, this guy's... it's like pure hate, man.
I want to see something really fucking cool.
This guy is a fucking animal. He's got himself on a leash. He's itching to get off that fucking leash. And he's gonna fucking kill some people.
I'm gonna fucking show him.
Stop!
What do we hear?
Look at me! Look at me!
We're gonna help you show him the light. We're gonna change the world.
This is Cactus Jack coming to you live from a studio audience.
To the man who calls himself Cactus Jack, we have watched as you have rocketed to infamy.
And you wonder why these cornered animals lash out. Pick a fucking side.
And now, we have watched as you have called for literal blood.
I know you're out there listening. It's buzzing in your ears, burrowing into your brain.
Do it.
Jack, you're gonna love this.
I pulled that trigger on that motherfucker's head.
Your VPN will not shield you. The darknet will not hide you. You and your kind are finished.
You think I'm scared of you?
Come and fucking get me!
Might I be your neighbor?
So, you guys ready?
Do it up.
Are we already on?
All right. So my next guests are the co-hosts of the Hard Out podcast, which I was on. They're also the co-writers, co-directors, co-producers of the feature-length found footage horror film Cactus Jack, which is my favorite horror film of 2021 so far. Ladies and gentlemen, I got Them fucking Thorntons.
Them Thorntons, that's right. What's up, brother? How you doing?
We might have to
I just want to
add
say
that to
you
our
guys kind
official
of
name.
inspired me to start a podcast because I've done like a few podcasts, and it was with someone I didn't really know, or they were just asking like questions. It was like an interview, so it was very stiff, very giving generic answers, and it just didn't feel comfortable. So you know, your podcast was like one of the first ones in a while where I actually had a good time, and I forgot I was on a podcast. So I was like, fuck it, man. I'm gonna do what they do. And so yeah, that's how.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
I mean, I had it in mind for a while, but after being on that podcast, I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it.
Sweet. So, like to inspire people, man. Same with Jack.
Yeah, you guys are inspiration. Yeah.
Feels we're like, we always reference Howard Stern, and we kick our podcast off with WNBC and shit, just in homage to him. But in Cactus Jack, if you go through the end of the credits, actually ends with a little Baba Booey at the end. But yeah, you got to go all the way through. But the format of our show, hold on for a second, we're just trying to do more like an Opie and Anthony hangout. Okay. And that's why you had fun. And I think that's what you're trying to do, is just a hangout, you know?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't get out of the house that much, so, you know, it's like my only chance to really talk to people. And I knew I said I was going to have some liquor ready for this, but I got like a lot of writing and shit to do, unfortunately.
That helps, dude.
It is what it is.
We got a little going. We just did a Basketball Diaries episode with a buddy of ours, so I got a little bit of liquor in me, but not nearly as fucking jacked.
Basketball Diaries is his favorite movie.
Yeah.
Really? Oh man, it was pretty good. Pretty good.
I like it. It's a good movie. I love it.
Interesting pick.
Yeah, I
didn't expect to.
When did you see it? Did you see it in the 90s or later?
I saw it in the 90s, so it was like, you know, around the same time I saw Kids, so it was like Kids, Basketball Diaries. It was like, oh, what the fuck? You know?
That's what he said. Yeah, those were the two.
I was like, kids really like this, and you know, it turned out they kind of were. So, like, do you guys prefer to be called Them Thorntons? Like, you know, the Coen brothers, the Soska twins, the Hughes brothers. Is there a reason why do you guys go by the Thornton brothers, or do you prefer Them Thorntons?
It's kind of interchangeable. We've used Thornton brothers without the as well for our books and stuff sometimes. But I like, after the way you introduced us, I like Them fucking Thorntons. I think we should change it to that.
Should start putting that on our scripts, dude. Thorntons.
Them fucking Thorntons. But that started off with us just signing off an email or something one day, just Them Thorntons, you know, just kind of, you know, having lived in the South for a while, and sometimes we kind of use that, you know, vernacular and stuff. And
are you guys from the South, or
you guys lived in the South?
Okay.
Yeah, we were Air Force brats, and so we were born in Washington D.C., but then our mom married an Air Force man, and we got bounced around. I graduated high school in Georgia, in the middle of Georgia, and so we spent some time in the South. Yeah,
but our real dad's from Mississippi, deep Mississippi.
Yeah,
and
good old boy.
Our grandmother. It's all Virginia, Mississippi. So yeah, it's Southern, man. But
yeah, I lived in Virginia for a little bit. My dad was stationed down there.
Yeah, nice.
Oh yeah, we lived there for a while, for a few years. Yeah, that
we're
area,
Newport News.
Newport News, you know, Virginia Beach. Yeah,
Hampton Roads area.
Mm-hmm.
So, how was it living in the South? Did any of what you experienced sort of inspire Cactus Jack at all, or?
Definitely.
Yeah, Cactus Jack for sure, but all of our writing kind of has
in general,
pride.
Got that flavor to it. Yeah.
Yeah, everything I write tends to take place in New York City, and they just change it. I remember the Suicide Theory. That was written for New York City, and they ended up taking the seediest part of Australia. Australia is a beautiful country, but they took like the one part that's shitty and that had a subway system, and kind of, you know, obviously have Australian accents, but yeah.
Yeah, you got in with Australia good, huh? You had 2 movies made in Australia now.
Yeah, they fucking love me over there.
Nice.
Should move. Fuck America.
A lot of great talent out of there, yeah. Totally. So where were you born?
Yeah, I'm kind of just going off the top of the head here. I have no fucking format. We're just gonna bullshit about stuff.
Good.
Where were you? Were you born in DC?
Especially this week, just like the process of screenwriting, it really pisses me off. I'm sure you can tell by my Facebook post.
I love them. I eat that shit up.
I feel like this is a good opportunity to vent about shit that we don't like about the industry. Well, you guys have representation and all that stuff, and
I mean,
if you can't say certain things, you know, you don't have to. But,
we're pretty unfiltered, man.
For the most part. I kind of noticed that in most podcasts. But like me personally, like I've been out of work like for the whole pandemic. It's been like over a year. So I've been taking on like all these writing gigs, like underground shit, no WGA minimum or anything. It's like, I will pay you $1,000 to, write this script, 1,000. I'm like, all right, it pays the bills. But after a while, like I'm taking on like 4 or 5 at a time, and I'm taking on projects I fucking hate. Like I'm not there with the premise. It's
impossible, dude.
It kind of sucks because you're just writing it to get the money. I don't want to be specific because there's projects I'm working on right now, and
there's you're probably better off finding a non-writing way to whore yourself out.
Yeah.
You might have to get your basketball diaries on and let dudes suck your dick in the subway.
Hand jobs under the Queensboro Bridge.
It'd be less painful.
Yeah, Queensboro Bridge isn't too far from me, so
there you go.
Norm. I mean, first of all, writing something you don't want to write sucks and it's painful, and usually it's not going to end well if it ends at all.
Yeah.
But if somebody's paying you, then you can't just abort mission. But if they're paying you $1,000 for something that you should get $100,000 for,
yeah.
What do you do? I mean, it feels like just a bad move because it can't end well.
I've done it during the whole thing, during this whole pandemic, and it's all a bunch of like low budget films and stuff like that.
For a short or something, I could see it, but for a feature, goddamn, these people have unrealistic expectations, man.
It's a little rough. Yeah, it
right.
is. Well,
that's exactly it.
Super low budget, and they got picked up and everything, but I still haven't seen any resids. So
good luck on that without the guild and shit.
So I kind of know what to expect. It does piss me off when indie producers are like, "This is gonna be the next big hit," and I guarantee you're gonna make I'm like, I don't know, man. Like. If you say so, I don't think so.
Hey, all them direct to DVD Bruce Willis movies and shit. Yeah. That's what they said. And they had Bruce Willis in it.
Yeah, I know.
It's gonna be a big hit and shit. And this whole business is fucked.
Yeah,
it's awful.
Yeah, it's a fucked up. It got to a point where I fucking hate screenwriting pretty much. So yeah, once I get done with these projects, I'm just gonna, I do write like commercials on the side. I say
where the fucking money is.
Like it's probably my main source of income, but it pays a lot better than what screenwriting's been paying me.
Yeah, and you're writing
your day job and then
spot versus a fucking hour and a half.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, it's like a 30-second spot, and it's pretty much getting paid the same thing. So that fucking sucked.
Yeah, and then you can just work on your passion projects on the side. Right.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want to work on my shit. It's been so long since I've written something of my own. I'm unsigned, and like it would be impossible for me to get signed because I have nothing to show for. I have like one script that's worth showing people. I don't have my 3 that a lot of
you could take out.
Really.
So all I got is a bunch of shit that might get made or might not, and then so.
We'll talk off camera. I got a buddy named Matt Ott who works in New York City. He lives in New York City, and he does a lot of commercial work, directing and producing commercials. I'm gonna hook you up with him and see if he can find you some gigs writing some commercials.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Thanks.
But, no promises, but see what I could do. If you got a resume doing it, that
both you
definitely
guys
helps.
live in Milwaukee?
No, I'm in Orange County, California.
California?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So when we were doing pitches and stuff, Jake could come out here, and at least we had sort of one foot in, on the ground here. So
Jason, how long have you been living in Milwaukee for?
I followed his ass out here in like 2000. We were living in the Boston area. He got a job here, I guess 2000-ish. And I followed him out because we were working on our first scripts at the time,
Yeah.
Man, what a weird time in your life. You're so full of fucking piss and vinegar
naivety.
Delusion.
Yes.
We're writing this Western, and oh, dude, look, I looked up on the internet and I found where Robert Duvall's company's address is. So we're going to send it to him. He's going to sign on, and we're going to make this fucking Western. Good luck. That shit never works that way. Secondly, I met a girl, got stuck out here, started going to school using the GI Bill out here and shit. Right. And then I have bounced around, though. I took a job working in the South Atlantic Ocean on this fucking volcano, tracking satellites and like that Sandra Bullock space garbage from Gravity and shit.
Yeah.
Because that's the job I did in the military, satellite tracking stuff. And I was there for a couple of years, and then still doing the long distance things with a girl. And then Chris and I ended up hooking up in Rhode Island, and this was kind of the renaissance of our screenwriting days, probably 2007-ish, 2008. I took a job in Rhode Island, wrecked my knee like 3 months into it. So I went on disability for a year, and he had a pretty good
to
job.
Mexico. They shut down the factory I was working at.
So he got
I was on unemployment, and we just would put the script up on the wall with a projector, and you know, just toss a football around and write like every sentence together, you know, like down to the fucking
weed,
commas
drinking.
and shit. Yeah, it was great though. We'd stop out, for a cigarette and discuss the next scene and go back in and knock it out. Yeah, it was like kind of a heady time for us.
And well, the thing, what made it great was we had money. That's the whole dreams of screenwriters. You better write with time and money, because I had a good job. He had a good job. We were pulling in probably $4,500 a month between his unemployment and my disability with nowhere to go. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Living in this little apartment and shit and just crushing it. And we finished our first real script there and entered it in the Nickel, finished like top 30 out of 5,000 or something entries that year, which was pretty good. And that got us interest from some reps. And then do you know Tracking B, site Tracking B? They did a contest. I think the second year they ran it, we finished in the top 3 or 5 or something with that same script. And then, so we met our manager, Sydney, who's still our manager to this day. And he got us into the agencies with our next script, Mechanicsville, which we actually have some action on now, fucking 12 years later. So that tells you how long this shit can take in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
But that got us signed by Mike Asola at WME. And Asola, at the time, 2009 era, he was on fucking fire. He sold The Low Dweller for $1 million. He was like the spec king, dude, you know?
Oh, shit.
And
so we were like, we thought we were made because our material was much like The Low Dweller, you know, in the same, like kind of literary, you know,
Southern fried shit, crime shit.
So we were like, and we're rep by the same agent who just sold that script for $1 million, you know? So we're just like,
that sold for $1 million because fucking DiCaprio was attached to it.
Yes.
And the DiCaprio, do you know that script, The Low Dweller?
No.
You heard of it? The Low Dweller was huge in like 2009. Brad Inglesby, who's gone on to have a good career, wrote it. And it was for us. We didn't read many scripts, to be honest, except for giving people like coverage and script notes for bucks when I'm broke and shit.
Yeah.
Probably read 10 scripts ever. We don't read scripts. We don't give a shit about reading scripts. To us, it's just like see the movie in your head, transcribe it. Once you know the format, you know, what are you going to learn from all these scripts?
Watch movies more than read scripts.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the Low
Dweller, it was
Dweller,
formative for us at the time.
The Low Dweller is one of the reasons we stopped reading scripts, because we're like, oh shit, this is what we want to do, and you can do it, and you can sell it for a lot of money. That you can write in this literary kind of poetic style and shit. But that script, DiCaprio was attached. It sold for $1 million. DiCaprio, of course, detaches like all these stars do all the fucking time.
Yeah.
And it languished for a few years. And then Scott Cooper came along. Scott Cooper made Crazy Heart and shit.
Yeah.
And he got a hold of the script and he rewrote the shit out of it. And so it became Out of the Furnace. You know that movie with Christian Bale and shit?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So it had
I think I do remember this script back in the day.
Yeah. But it's good.
I had some friends who were with Energy Entertainment, and Out of the Furnace, I think, was partially produced by Energy.
Mm-hmm. Probably.
So,
that's probably
that was kind of a big, it was a big script.
Well, yeah, but the thing to us is it's a tragic story where Brad Inglesby wrote this sick script that sold for $1 million. And of course, I don't know if he got that $1 million, because it's always, they say in the trades, it sold for $1 million, but it's like, what's due at production, first day of photography? Is that deal still in play by the time it becomes Out of the Furnace? He probably had to share a shitload of credit because, so that was half of it gone right there. Because usually the deals say if you have to share credit, you get half of the money. And Scott Cooper, it pisses us off, the idea that you could take this script that's dope and essentially kill it to make this new thing. Like, The Low Dweller didn't have to die for Out of the Furnace to exist. He could have just wrote Out of the Furnace. I mean, it's completely different, dude.
No. That's unfortunate. And that's one of the things that scares me a little bit. But then again, I would love the money too. But at the same time, you know, if it's a script you're passionate about, like, there's nothing worse than them completely, you know, rewriting the whole fucking thing, and it's no longer something that you wrote. It's like a completely different story. I get mad when, like, you know, I'm very proud of my movies, but there's like certain parts where they don't go by the script, and it infuriated me. At least like when I first saw it, I was like, what the fuck are you guys doing? You're gonna
Well,
fuck
if
up the whole
anybody,
thing, but you
if
know, it
any,
ended up turning out good. But like just little small things like that will piss me off a little bit. I can't even imagine, you know, someone
if
taking.
anybody, go ahead. Somebody
Go
take
ahead.
it. Well, if anybody read, I would rather just write prose all day. You know, because a movie, you know, is something that you entrust to someone else. Like you write a screenplay, but it's not a finished product.
Yeah.
You know, it's a blueprint, as they call it, and then they go make the movie off of that, and it can get fucked around with and developed into something else. But if you can just, if like I said, if there were enough people out there that, you know, I mean, obviously people do succeed just writing prose, but it seems to be even more rarefied. You know,
Well, that's part of the reason why I like writing.
and we already have
theater.
a.
I had like a couple stage plays produced, and like when you're writing plays, the writer has all the power. Like you're the fucking man. Like they can't change. Director can't change anything. It's got to be performed exactly as written. Which is why I'm kind of thinking of going back to that. You know, New York is slowly starting to open up a little bit, and
it's just where's the money in that too.
Exactly. Yeah, that's
wrote a play, so you know. And you know, I had fun writing the plays, and it's quicker gratification because you know things get done a little quicker. I mean, these were just like off Broadway things, but you know, I write the script, and 6 months later, you know, we have our opening, and you know,
also dope to see it reinterpreted by different actors, and it could keep going on. It could become a movie where you still retain copyright, et cetera, which is cool. And but there's a reason all these playwrights end up slumming it in Hollywood. Fucking money, right? It's like how much does being a playwright off Broadway pay either? You know, it all comes down to money, man. Which sucks.
It's kind of a miserable existence.
Hey man, Andrew Yang might pay your rent.
Yeah, right.
You guys get him in there.
There you go. Well,
he's running for the mayor of New York City, and he might institute some kind of universal basic income there. So
yeah, all right, my fellow Asian brother.
Mr. We've been on Andrew Yang's
Yang
since like a year before he was running and shit, really.
Yeah, before it was cool to say you were a Yang Gang.
Right.
Totally. We've been talking
before
about
Yang Gang was coined.
Right. We've been waiting for a guy to come along to say the shit we were saying.
Yeah. So, like Cactus Jack, now you were just talking about how we were just talking about Out of the Furnace, how they changed the shit out of that. Is part of the reason why you guys like pretty much funded Cactus Jack yourselves and produced it. Is that part of the reason whether so like nobody would change it?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but autonomy for sure being one. Just not to even pressure us to change it, because there's two things. One thing, these fuckers will just rewrite you. We just found out some script that we had under option with these dudes a couple of years ago. They had some fucking director rewrite it until he had a draft he liked. Bro, you don't own the rights when you option something to the point that you can rewrite it, especially because we're Guild. We have in our contracts first fucking rewrite and shit, you know?
Yeah.
That director has to come to us, but they don't want to pay you, you know? Because that's a paid step to rewrite it. Anyway.
Jesus.
Also the pressure to just change your shit all the time into what these 10 fucking bozos think it should be, you know? You gotta writing by committee with a bunch of non-writers who are usually motivated by fear of what the market's going to bear and shit like that, and they're just giving you all these stupid fucking notes,
just weird little, you know, kinks or whatever that they want to work into it. Like we had one project where we had, I think it was 7 or 8 different people all giving us notes at once on the same project, and many of them even conflicted with each other. So what do you do then? You know, obviously Jay and I found though that like seeking out the note behind the note, as we would call it, was important. So even though someone might have some specific thing that they're bumping up against, we would realize, oh, that's really because of something else that we can fix that, you know, has this ripple effect. And they may not have really realized what the problem is. But yeah, like we would get, you know, notes from, like we said, 7 or 8 people on a project, and
it's fucking infuriating.
It's just, yeah, like, so with, like, to your point about Jack, it was inadvertently so, I think, because our main impetus was to do something ourselves and kind of in an autonomous fashion. So it wasn't exactly like directly driven by that, but that was the end result of doing it this way. You know, we had just shot a short film, just Jay and I, and we were like, what can we do next? That's like a feature film of the same thing where we just
keep bump up 2 guys in the camera.
Yeah,
no money.
Keep it agile, keep it flexible in terms of locations and the cast and everything and the equipment, the setups, all this stuff. Just what can you get away with the minimal amount of bullshit and static,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we love all our favorite movies usually end up being auteur shit, written and directed by the same guy. Because what you were complaining about, Tarantino doesn't run into. Actors will tell you over and over, you got to say it the way he fucking wrote it. That's the rule of the land. And if you want to play around afterwards, maybe he'll be open to it and shit. But like you're watching a movie that you wrote and it's got some dumb shit in it you didn't write. If you're making your own fucking movie, that's not an issue. Any changes you decide to make on the fly, which we would make, we didn't even have a script for Cactus Jack. Believe it or not, I script up dialogue just because there was no way I would expect our actor to fucking go on a 5-minute long hate rant and shit, improvising.
Wow, where did that come from, Michael?
Right, exactly.
Tell us how you feel about blacks, Mike. Actually speaks to a scene in the stairwell there. He keeps saying that to the documentarian. But point being, as far as what happened, that people say there's no plot in this movie, kind of by design, because it's not about that. It's about being locked in a basement with this monster who's got a one-track mind, so it's redundant by design. But it's, to us, one of the most character-driven movies ever, because we didn't have some predestined ending and that we were working towards and trying to shoehorn shit in and make people act in unrealistic fashions to get to this plot point we had prescripted. For us, it was like, let's get these two characters in a room and let's just keep organically building on it to see what they would likely realistically do, So we just kind of created it on the fly, which was fun as shit. And that's something you never get to do in Hollywood.
No.
Now, understandably, when they're spending millions of fucking dollars to make a movie, you can't play around like that. That's why we made a movie for 25 grand. But
so did you guys do crowdfunding for that?
We got like $4 grand from Indiegogo, but we had a few investors who believed in it, came on, threw some money at us in exchange for net, which hopefully eventually will help them see. But there's no guarantee of that. But we're just now going through an aggregator, unfortunately, because I do think aggregation is a bullshit kind of scam, and most indie filmmakers will warn you against it, that you still got to find a way to market your film. Having it up on iTunes and Amazon and shit doesn't mean shit if no one knows it's there in this sea of shit. You know what I mean? So we still got to find ways to get the word out, regardless if it's there or not. But I do think that's a step up from telling people to go to Vimeo and shit.
Yeah, I'd say an aggregator is more just a service. You're just employing a service to get your stuff up on streamers. That's all they're offering. They're not claiming that anything otherwise.
Right.
So yeah, that's true. You just it's on you to market yourself and get it out there, which Jay and I think we're good at, but we just don't take to it. Like I just don't enjoy that side of it. I'm not compelled to
well, me personally,
market and social media and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't mind going on social media, but that's as far as it goes for me. Like, I would be like, hey, check out and that's it.
Well, luckily, one thing with Cactus Jack is here in America, it is like triggering as shit and polarizing. And if you go on IMDb and you see it as like a fucking 2.9 or whatever,
does it?
Dude, it got blasted by, first off, a critic screener ended up on fucking torrent sites. So thank you, critics.
No, you
fucking somebody leaked it, or somebody in their operation leaked it or something. And all these right-wing, alt-right incel type motherfuckers started blasting it as like, this is leftist propaganda and shit, right? And giving it ones and started spamming it with 1 reviews and shit on IMDb, etc. If you go on it is a polarizing movie. People either love it or hate it, which we love because we don't want to make shit you're indifferent to. I'd rather you love or hate it than barely care about it. But
yeah, I fucking love it. It's still now, given I haven't seen like a shitload of horror movies so far that came out in 2021, but it made a strong impression on me. So,
well, yeah, when you said if it came out last year, it would have been in your top 10. That was good enough for me. That this 25 grand movie we made literally in this basement I'm in right now.
Movie. It's one of the most vile horror movie villains like we've seen in a long time.
Maybe ever.
I don't want to, you know, he doesn't kill. The body count isn't nearly a. I don't want to give it away any spoilers, but
it's more about his mind.
It's not like Jason Voorhees coming down,
as we call it.
But just him, his whole personality is so fucking ugly, and I fucking love it. Man. It, like horror movies, to me, are as good as the villain, and
absolutely,
he Michael Gough is fucking phenomenal.
He is, man. I hope, if nothing else, that enough people see it where he starts getting props and gets work out of it. Because
absolutely, where did you guys find him?
He's a Milwaukee guy. He's been floating around, doing all kinds of random shit. That dude's been everything. You should have him on sometime. He's a good fucking interview. But it's been everything from like a fucking mattress salesman to a private dick to a fucking stand-up comedian and shit, you know. But he's acted in a bunch of short films in Milwaukee, but he's always been like the bad guy with a gun type shit, you know, just a fucking never realized his potential. And when we were doing that Robert Rodriguez shit of looking around at the things around us that we can make a low budget movie with, right? Who's in Milwaukee that could bring it? And he stood out to us as a guy who hadn't been weaponized properly and hadn't been given a juicy role where he could show his potential. And now he might take a little umbrage to the fact that the character we created for him is this fucking disgusting hate monger piece of shit, deviant creep. But so like that's the vibe he was giving off at the time. But it's just like you got that edge that people don't have, man, and that's to us. That's the juice,
charisma, and edge. Yeah, exactly. Energy that, you know, it is.
Yeah, that was one of the more frightening things about his performance was he was so charismatic.
Yes.
That at some points I was like, I was going to say, he has a point. No, that's not what I mean.
There's a couple kernels.
I'm like, well, you know, I could see where he's coming from, although I highly disagree with him. But it, like, his performance is so convincing and so charismatic that, you know how you watch,
it's persuasive to some degree.
He'd be a great salesman,
especially even if you despise it. You know, the fucking Trump has like a cajillion, or he had a cajillion Twitter followers, and most people who followed him were people who couldn't fucking stand him. So
that's back to that old Howard Stern thing. If you remember the movie Private Parts, there's a bit in there where the network suits come and they say, "Oh, we just got the ratings in and shit." The average Howard Stern listener or fan listens for an hour and a half. The most common reason given is because they want to hear what he'll say next. And they're like, "Well, what about the people who hate him? They listen for 2.5 hours." Most common answer given is they want to see what he'll say next. You know, I feel like Jack is kind of in that boat, but the people who hate him aren't uptight Christian conservatives and right wingers. The people who hate him are left wingers. And as it turns out, surprisingly, a lot of right wingers hate it because they feel slighted by this portrayal.
They feel caricatured or something by him. Yeah.
Which is hilarious to me because I've said this before, that if, all right, say you're a right-wing guy, alt-right even or whatever, and you see this shit and you take exception to it, that says more about you than anything. And you are an egotistical cunt who needs to get over yourself. Because if I watched a movie about some progressive leftist who got, you know, hooked up with Antifa and ended up blowing up a fucking building at the end and accidentally killing a couple kids, I wouldn't be bitching that it's right-wing propaganda and it unfairly portrayed people on the left and shit. So shut up. That's my answer to all that personally. But
yeah, there's a lot I don't get about it. Like, just I have a lot of friends who are righties. You know, I don't agree with what they say, but at the same time, I kind of don't really give a shit as long as they're not fucking burning crosses on people's lawns and shit. And I mean, I'm half Asian. They're hanging out with me. You know, not to
most people
can't be racist just because you hang out with someone who's,
and all this weird shit gets conflated together. Like, the same people who prefer capitalism over more of a socialist approach also are the same people who are lumped in with like white supremacists and stuff. And it's like your friends obviously aren't if they hang out with you, but they might just believe in a certain economic system, but somehow this economic system gets wrapped up with all this like other shit. Yeah, exactly. Like, why are they even married together? You know?
Well, the point with Jack too, is we didn't set out to make a political movie. We set out to make a horror movie about what scares us, and what scares us is hate. Just the fact that this dude can be intelligent and charismatic and everything, but he's been hijacked by this fucking bad ideology, this bad programming like a virus, and now it's just consumed him, and it's all he can think about. And we know people like this, you know, and obviously they're out there, but it's not to say that they're irredeemable, that he he's a deplorable who should just be shunned and exiled and thrown away or executed or anything like that. It's like, no, he's a human being who had a bunch of fucked up shit happen to him as a kid, and he found solace in this bad ideology. So it's not nearly as political as all these people who are angry about its supposed politics make it out to be, you know, which is unfortunate, but whatever. It's all. We just watched Last Tango in Paris, and I saw a bit of trivia where Bernardo Bertolucci said someone had criticized the film. I can't remember who it was, another filmmaker, and said it was overt or subversively homosexual or something in that nature. And he said, all criticisms of my film are valid. And I kind of feel the same way. I think that's a baller stance to take as a filmmaker. Like, you know what? Say whatever the fuck you want about it. It's all valid because it's your reaction to it. You can have your reaction. But I do wish people engage with films in a different way that wasn't so ego driven and ideological and political and shit, you know.
And I'm sure you guys expected that going in, like,
for sure.
Before you even.
Well, we thought the left was going to blast us, not the people on the right. That's what was surprising.
That's what I would have thought.
We started this before the Trump election, before 2016, and as we're working on it, we just see it intensifying, and all the the whole political landscape was just shifting as we worked on this. That was keyed right into the issues that are so explosive now. Yeah,
it took us 4 years to make. People should know that it took the entire Trump presidency to make. And we started it before the election and actually released it on Inauguration Day, which right after the Capitol attacks and shit, or whatever you want to call them. And it was an interesting time. Our manager actually was like, dudes, we shouldn't release this now. We should back it up 6 months. And we're all like, fuck that. Now's the perfect time.
That's the perfect time to come out with it.
But at the same time, it got kind of what's that dude's name? Nick Shager. He's a legit film critic, but he does shit for the Daily Beast and shit, and he blasted it, gave it like a 1 star as we just endured 4 years of this shit. We don't need another hour and a half of somebody.
Now, if this had come out when we first conceived of it, you wouldn't have been so exposed to the same shit in our headlines, and just all over social media and stuff. We were actually kind of predicting it.
All criticism's valid, but I will say, Nick Shager, stop looking at your fucking phone when you're watching movies, because he actually had a criticism in our movie about there's no explanation of how this character makes his living or makes money or anything. And like 10 minutes into it, he's like, I fucking mine Bitcoin, because the guy asks him. So this critic wasn't even watching it that closely.
Yeah. That's what annoys me the most, when they miss things that are obvious.
They're tweeting and all that shit while they watch it.
Yeah. Well,
tweeting their friends, I'm watching this movie, it's so fucking stupid. You just missed a part, then you bitched about in your review.
Well, my last movie was probably too long. It was like 2 hours and 20 minutes long, and I can just picture these critics getting a bunch of screeners, and they see a link on the bat, like, what the fuck. So of course, like, every fucking negative review is like, this movie's too long. I'm like, it's valid, but I'm like, all right,
did you write a 150-page script, or do they just draw things out?
The script was like 127 pages, but they cut out like 3 scenes, so they filmed about 119 pages.
Do you think, honestly, not to throw anyone under the bus, that it could have been edited tighter, or do you think it's the right length and people just need to shut up and watch a longer movie?
And I mean, there's a case for that. It should have been edited tighter. I liked it. It's a film style. Sergio Leone used to do these long takes, and I fucking loved it. Of course, it was landscapes and beautiful landscapes and shit, and some guy walking, but it's a filmmaking style, and Terrence Malick did a lot of the same shit.
Love all that shit.
I understand in this day and age, especially with social media, that everyone's attention spans are fucking. It's like 5 seconds, like less than a goldfish. You know what I mean? I get that, but at the same time, like, I think people just have trouble holding their attention to something, and I think that sort of backfired. I mean, we still got 67% on Rotten Tomatoes. I like the fucking movie. Is there some shit I wish I could have changed? Of course, but
that's always the case. Shit, man.
The length, people just see the length right away, and they're like, oh, I don't recognize anybody in the movie. This is gonna fucking suck.
Well, so, this is a drama, not a thriller.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because of the length.
People, yeah, and that's
I will
another
say,
thing, like when a movie gets picked up, you have no control of the way it's really marketed outside of.
Oh, yeah.
And like they just marketed it like a fucking like it's Seven or something like that. Like it's actually more of a drama more than it is a thriller. So
yeah, we talk about that a lot too. How marketing, because some of these movies, especially when people come on from My Favorite Movie, or we talked to this guy Dan Benamor about The Departed. Dan Benamor does another great podcast called Movies I Love That No One Talks About. But
Departed is fucking awesome, man.
Yeah, a part of that no one talks about these movies, a lot of times it was a failure of marketing, that they cut a shit trailer or a trailer that had nothing to do with it, or bad timing. You know, a movie came out around a 9/11 or some shit and just got killed, you know. But we think a movie like Todd Solondz, you know, Todd Solondz Happiness and shit.
Yeah, I love Happiness.
You ever see the trailer for Happiness?
Yeah.
Dude, it's like a comedy. It's like a sitcom.
I know.
You know what I mean? So that's one of my favorite examples of how just the trailer can not remotely tonally match up with the movie.
They were just doing a huge troll on people. Like, come see this family-friendly movie. Mommy, I came.
Well, with my first movie, they did like the poster. Like we had this awesome poster. Might be able to see it in the background above my Jason Takes Manhattan thing. Suicide Theory poster is just some guy blowing his brains out, and I was like, wow, that's fucking awesome. So it gets picked up by Freestyle Releasings, and it looked like a template or something they had like stored somewhere. It's just like a chalk outline, and like it had nothing to do with the fucking movie. Such a generic looking poster, and I really think shit like that affects, you know. I've seen reviews where like, oh, I was back when the movie's on Netflix, they're like, oh, I was gonna, you know, I was looking for movies, and I saw the generic poster. I almost didn't watch the luckily I did.
Sucks.
So
we're kind of running into that right now with these aggregators, where they told us we can't use our poster because it has a fucking swastika on it, that iTunes and everyone's going to reject it. So we have to come up with a different one. And luckily, we got scenes where Jack's in this gas mask in the basement with a gun. It still looks kind of provocative and shit, but it's not the same.
There's some badass images in there.
But it feels like people should know what the fuck they're getting into. You're going to make us mismarket our movie because you're scared of a fucking symbol. Like, we're not endorsing. Really? Like, you see the symbol, and maybe there's a few people out there that get triggered.
I mean, I know there's documentaries about the Third Reich and stuff that has the swastika in the poster.
Look at the post for American History X.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think
that was some time ago.
Predominantly a fucking swastika.
Yes.
Yeah, people are just way bigger pussies.
But today,
than in the 90s.
times have changed. Yeah.
The 90s were the shit.
I love the 90s.
People talk about the 70s, and the 70s definitely paved the way for the 90s, but the 90s are special, dude. People sleep on the 90s big time.
The 90s fucking filmmakers were fucking rock stars, man, and they made they pretty much made what they wanted. You know, it's it kind of did feel like the 70s a little bit.
Well, that indie boom of the Richard Linklaters and Kevin Smith and fucking Tarantino, and, you know, say what you want about Harvey and Bob, but the 90s Miramax crushed it, putting out all these projects that in the 80s and the 2000s never would have fucking been put out, you know?
Yeah, it was a great era. That's pretty much like. Do you guys watch a lot of movies? Obviously you do, but like,
I mean, dude, it used to consume us when we'd go to the theater and look at the multiplex marquee and be like, oh, we've seen each of these at least once and shit. What are we gonna do? Maybe we'll go to Blockbuster. But nowadays, I got a kid. That shit, especially with COVID, he's home all day. I'm fucked. I can't wait till he goes back to school next year. But it's tough, but that's partly why we started our own podcast. And with that sub-series of talking about movies is to watch more movies. And I can say to my wife, sorry, honey, you got to watch this movie for work. You know, I miss it though. It's rekindled my love. I mean, I used to love nothing more than getting a bottle of Crown and ordering fucking some wings and watching a movie and shit.
Of course, my favorite movie, which, you know, we had you on for, but, we also have Cinephiliacs where Jay and I just each pick a movie and double feature.
That's just fun.
The next episode, we'll both watch them. And sometimes you get these crazy mashups, you know, like, what was it, A War and Party Monster or whatever, just like two movies.
No, that was the mission.
Santa with muscles. Yes. A War.
I remember that.
So yeah, that's forcing us to reach back into the catalog. Like we just mentioned, The Last Tango in Paris, neither of us had seen. It was a huge hole in our history of movie watching, and this is an opportunity for us each to pick things that we might have missed, and also mix it up with things that are more current too.
Well, just by you guys doing that, I feel like it makes, at least me, it makes me want to rewatch some of those movies again. Because Last Tango in Paris, I haven't seen that since like probably the early 2000s. When I just, I was a huge Tarantino fan and all these other filmmakers, and I heard the movies they were inspired by. Then I heard about movies like Tango in Paris that are controversial, and I was like, like back in the early 2000s, I just fucking watched everything. I never went outside. I went to work, came back, and just I'd go back when Blockbuster was a thing. I used to go to Blockbuster and go through their the movies that were for sale. It'd be like $4.99 for DVD.
Fuck yeah, I'm all about. I still do that on eBay, and I order DVDs. I don't give a fuck. I was thinking about Blu-rays in HD 4K now. I don't give a shit. I don't care about lo-fi. Like when we were in the 90s, those image qualities were fine with us. Now all of a sudden it's not good enough. I'll still watch that shit.
Yeah, fuck yeah. My Goodfellas DVD, it's like the old cardboard DVD cases. Just has like the plastic clip thing.
The clip you fold over and shit. I love those. I have a few of those.
Goodfellas, you have to flip the DVD over to watch the second half of the movie.
Yes.
I fucking miss that shit.
Love it.
The only thing is when you end up ordering one on eBay and it's fucking full screen, that pisses me off. I hate full screen.
Yeah, me too.
They chop that shit up.
You guys, how old are you guys?
Old as shit. I'm 43. No, we're not chicks, dude. 43, he's 47.
Okay. So we're kind of in the same. I'm 38. Do you guys remember Laserdisc? Do you guys have a Laserdisc?
Yes.
Back in the day?
We never had one.
I don't think we had one, but we definitely.
Our stepdad was huge into music more than movies. He had reel-to-reels and all that kind of shit, really? Whatever they thought fidelity. But I remember a few of his friends had Laserdisc players, and I remember being amazed. Those discs, they look like Tron Frisbees and shit. They're like fucking huge ass, like a CD with kids. You don't know, it's a record size, like an LP size fucking CD, just the shiny rainbow.
Oh man, when I was a kid, I had an uncle who was like, into like technology and stuff. For some reason he could afford all these things, and he had a job where like obviously you couldn't afford that shit. So there was some other things he was doing on the side, but he had the Laserdisc.
Selling crack.
I remember seeing Terminator 2. Judgment Day on Laserdisc. Nice. It was like back then, it was one of the defining moments in my life. There used to be a video store called 48 Hour Video, and they had like a little mini theater upstairs that you can rent out. And we watched Candyman.
That's interesting.
Nice.
Candyman
Love that.
2, Farewell to the Flesh.
Hell yes. With Clive Barker in the house. Awesome. Hell yeah. Love it.
Yeah, man.
Man, something has been lost with this on-demand shit. I was just lamenting this with a buddy of mine the other day. All this sense of entitlement and shit everybody has now, it's got to be somewhat tied to on-demand. I want it now. The ability to time shift was huge for the industry. And it is cool. I admit it. I can TiVo something, watch it when I want. I can order it when I want. I can rent it when I want. But it's not good for humanity to just have all this shit at your fingertips like fucking Henry VIII. You know what I'm saying? Like everyone becomes their own little fucking entitled tyrant. Back in the day, if you wanted to watch a Cosby Show, you had to be there fucking 7 o'clock Thursday night or whatever the fuck it was.
Goddamn fucking right. Yeah.
Now, HBO, they still do appointment viewing Sunday night for fucking Game of Thrones or whatever. And it becomes that water cooler show where everyone's talking about it for a week. And the show can go on for seasons like that. And it becomes iconic. But if you put something out in streaming in Netflix, people binge watch it. They bullshit about it for like 3 days on Twitter. And then it's fucking forgotten for the next thing.
Yeah. I'm one of those people who do that. Like if I watch a show I like, I'll be like, fuck this. I'm just going to watch the whole goddamn thing. I'll be up for like 2 days.
But yeah, I love it. I love the ability. And Chris and I would do that. Like I remember I had DVDs of The Wire and Carnival and all those great HBO shows because we didn't have, HBO at the time. But when we were in Rhode Island, that's one thing we do with that projector is we just fucking crush 5 seasons of The Wire, in a week or whatever. It was amazing. But I'm just saying for our mindsets, for the shows themselves, it's not the best thing, man. I don't know. It's a trade-off for sure. But
I
it's
feel
like
like
our
it makes
kids,
you
like
like appreciate it less. Like I don't get excited about it. You know what I mean? Like back when Blockbuster and video stores, even after Blockbuster closed, I lived in like Greenpoint, Brooklyn. It was super hipster. It's like right outside Williamsburg, and there was a video store there, and it was just like I just hang out there for like 3 hours talking to a bunch of hipsters about movies, and it got to the point where seeing the movie wasn't the main. You know, of course you want to see the movie, but it was going out and looking for a movie, and talking to people about movies, and you smell the cardboard from the DVD cases, and I just felt
the butter popcorn.
You smell popcorn. God damn, man, it was
popcorn.
That's
bro.
half the reason to be there is the fucking popcorn.
Video store.
And oftentimes the best moment is when the producer credit cards come up and just the anticipation.
Studios,
you know what I mean?
yes.
Just when you see just all the icons flying up and just like, all right,
it's like an event, man. It's like it's just like going to the movies. It's like it's exciting. And I feel like with like on-demand stuff, it's just, I guess you can try to recreate some kind of excitement or whatever, you know, put curtains in front of your TV or, but
create some ritual, where I make some bomb ass popcorn with my kid. I'm trying to instill movie night. So here's this key for everyone out there too. If you want to make some sick ass popcorn at home, ghee, you know, ghee, like Indian.
No.
Ghee is
like seasoning.
I use it all the time.
No, it's a butter.
Like
It's clarified butter, essentially.
Okay.
But that's the key. You can't use real butter because real butter has so much water content. Ghee is like the water has been sucked out of the butter. So when you melt that shit, it's like pure fats, and you can throw it on your popcorn and it stays crunchy, but it's buttery as fuck. It's whatever. But if you use real butter, it just wilts the popcorn.
Yeah, the shit in the theater is more an oil than a butter. You know, it's
even in
like
theaters where they use
butter.
real butter, it's clarified butter. It's like when you dip your lobster in that shit, that's clarified butter. That's what you use for popcorn. And then I hit it with some truffle salt. It's fucking sick.
Yeah.
But that's part of it though. For my kid, I'm trying to instill in him a love of movies, and part of it is all that. It's the popcorn, it's the fucking, you know, maybe not a soda for him and shit, because I don't want to end up like me fucking on the verge of diabetes and shit. But it's like that was all part of it. The arcade, when I used to take him to like the $1.50, $3 theater or whatever, you know. And I'm sorry, Mom, but I'm gonna be one of them dads that show up at school some days like, I'm sorry, we had a family emergency. He's got to go and take his ass to the movies to see some movie he shouldn't see and shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, when I was a kid, that was like some of the most fun times I've ever had. You know, like on my birthday every year, my dad would take me to a movie or hang out with my grandparents. I'd be like, oh, you know, I got to go to church and shit. Like, oh, we're gonna see a movie after. I was like, all right.
I can sit through church.
I guess.
But that's the thing. The theater is a pain in the dick because people suck and they're on their phones and crinkling their shit and talking or whatever. That shit's annoying.
Oh man, especially I lived in Harlem for like 3 years, and once in a while I'll still go to Magic Johnson Cinema on 125th Street. I mean, now, of course, not in the past year, but like,
what you gonna do now?
Barbershops in Harlem, so and oh my god, it's fucking. It can be an awesome experience, but at the same time, I feel like everyone's trying to be fucking funny. You know?
Yeah.
Remember,
it's like hecklers
there, and like everybody's, you know.
You worked at a comedy club, right?
Who says the funniest shit? I'm like, all right, guys, you know, been waiting for this fucking movie to come out for like.
It's so fucking annoying. When you worked in a comedy club, it's like hecklers. It's like, bitch, we're here to see the show, not hear you fucking be the funniest heckler. Shut the fuck up. And it is funny though, and it is a cultural thing, but at the same time, it's annoying. But man, Chris and I, do you remember that movie Posse?
Yeah, Mario Van Peebles.
Mario Van Peebles Posse. We saw that in the second run theater in fucking Newport News, Virginia, the Black Theater. And we were the only two white dudes in there. And I remember at some point, the bad guy, whitey dude did some shit. And this chick behind us just leaned in. I swear she leaned into us and hissed like, I hate white people. And we're just like, me too. Fuck white people, right? But then you're watching the rest of the movie like, God damn it, we're gonna get attacked. And one other experience I had like that, I took this chick, so me and this white chick, only two people in the whole theater who were white at, again, the $1 theater, because we were broke as fuck, to see Higher Learning.
No shit, dude, I fucking love that movie, man.
Bro, that scene where Rappaport's on the fucking tower just capping people and shit, spoiler alert, there's this huge hawking fucking shaved head brother sitting like 3 rows behind us, and he had been getting worked up throughout the movie. Man, fuck this shit. And then when Tyra Banks got shot, he said, fuck this shit, yo. And he stood up and fucking stalked out of the theater, like fucking. And I was just waiting for him to come back with a gun or some shit, because we were the only white dudes in there. I was like, fuck. And she's like, do you want to get out of here? And I had to look all brave with a chick. I was like, no, fuck that, man. I paid $2. We're watching this shit, like Eddie Murphy or something, you know. But man, I was about to piss my pants. And luckily he just never came back. But again, I'm like, I get it, how a movie can trigger you like that, but understand what it's doing. Like John or Singleton made that movie for a reason and had that happen for a reason, you know. Yeah. I'd like people to be able to divorce their own emotions from shit and intellectually engage with the movie a little more, as much as you want them to be emotionally hit too. So it's a tightrope, I guess. But
yeah. What was I gonna say?
Screenwriting sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah, fucking shit, man. I can't stand it, man. I really can't.
Speaking of talking in theaters, you ever hear the story about Andy Kaufman and his buddies would go into the back row of a theater in New York in the 70s in a horror movie, and then go like, when the killer's chasing the girl, they'll be like, cut off her titties. Fucking get her. Just people in the theater will be like, what the fuck? Who the hell's in here with us?
I went to see, like if it's like a fun movie like that where like you don't mind people like interacting a little bit. But I went to see the first Paranormal Activity. You know, it's kind of a movie that requires silence to fucking just get the I want to be scared. And this fucking lady like behind me is white. This is the Upper West Side of Manhattan. This fucking wino, the rich husband probably. She's just
some
fucking
Real
making
Housewives in New York
comments like, oh my god, what typical man. I'm like, shut the fuck up. And she's got like a bag of chips she's stuck in the theater, and like during the scenes where like it's supposed to be like
sprinklers,
like you hear the bag, the crunch of the chips in her mouth. I'm like, oh my god!
I think movie theaters should not be allowed to sell anything with cellophane and shit.
Right.
Like it should be like
I think she snuck the chips in.
People do that shit, but then if you hear it, it's like kick them out. I heard the telltale sign of some fucking contraband and shit, but it's like they sell all these candies and crinkly shit. I hate it.
The funniest thing about this, it was the 68th Street in Upper West Side of Manhattan. It was like pretty much all white people, and this lady kept talking. All of a sudden, this fucking black dude, he's like, "Shut the fuck up!" So
dude, I went to see The Hobbit. Oh, you got more to that story?
No, that's it.
This was the worst one I ever had. I went to see The Hobbit, and there was this family there with kids literally playing like handheld PSP video games and shit. Like they had 9 kids with them. It was like a grandmother, a mom, an uncle or something.
With the volume on and shit. Like you're hearing the game just.
And kids literally running up and down the aisles and shit. And eventually I was like, fuck, I was that guy at fucking Higher Learning. Fuck this. I can't take it. But it wasn't the movie. It was the audience. And then this bitch got all up in my face, wanted to fight me and shit. I was like, everyone in the audience though, when I said it, like applauded that I told her to shut the fuck up. But it was crazy. I was like, what are you doing here? And what are you teaching your kids that you don't care about your kids? You didn't bring them because it was a movie they wanted to see. You wanted to see a fucking movie, so you brought your kids and told them they can run up and down the aisles and play fucking video games and shit. Get out. Have some respect.
Yeah.
Shit's infuriating. That was the worst movie going experience I ever had. It was insane.
Yeah, that would have pissed me off.
Hobbit. I'm like, can you just leave me in peace so I could be bored by this fucking movie?
There's been instances where like the crowd was super rowdy, but it was fucking awesome.
Right.
They were getting rowdy for the right parts, like pretty much
rowdy about the movie.
Film I've seen in the theater, like the crowd was like really fucking into that shit. And I remember I went to see Inglourious Bastards, and like when they show Hitler's face getting shot up, everybody in the theater stood up. Like, yeah, kill the motherfucker.
Also, Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at the end. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time, where they, kick the asses of the Manson family people, like just people were rooting for that too. That's probably the latest experience I've had like that.
One I remember as a kid was Rocky V. A lot of people don't like Rocky V, but man, in the theater that day when the street fight hit, motherfuckers were on their feet cheering and shit. It was awesome, dude.
I remember Rocky Balboa, like I think I saw it on Christmas. I was spending Christmas by myself in New York, so I was like, I'm just going to
Christmas movie is a tradition. It's just the best.
And Rocky Balboa, and like, yeah, the crowd just gave it a standing ovation at the end, and it was pretty beautiful. Get Out was another movie that people were really into. I made sure to see that shit in fucking Harlem.
Get Out.
It was fucking awesome, man. I was by myself, and some guy's standing up and he slaps me in the arm, and I turn around and he has his hand. I'm like, it was fucking crazy. It felt like a fucking comedy show, man. It was awesome.
Again, though, if the crowd is engaged with the movie, that's one thing. But like this, people playing video games on their phones and shit. Fuck off.
Yeah, I can't stand that shit.
You should
what's the last movie you guys seen in theaters?
What's that?
What's the last movie you guys seen in theaters?
I think it might have been Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Actually, it might have been for me too.
That's a good one.
That or The Last Full Measure. I think that was
The Last Full Measure.
Which is our manager, Sydney, was a producer one, but it's
it came out last January. It's a war flick. It has Sebastian Stan, fucking
Samuel L. Jackson, William Hurt. It was a star-studded, really. It was it's
Peter Fonda's last movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some amazing actors in it, but
it was moving. I actually really enjoyed it. You should check it out for sure.
I think the last movie I saw was The Hunt. Did you guys see
How
that?
How is that?
I know of it. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I didn't like it, man. I thought it was trying to be too clever. It was like one of those movies that was trying to make a political statement, and they pretty much just stole a bunch of South Park jokes that took the PC principle and try to stretch that into the whole premise of the fucking movie. And, I don't know.
So what is it? Remind me, is it conservatives doing the most dangerous game with liberals, or the other way around?
I think it was the other way around. Liberals playing the most dangerous game with conservatives.
Interesting.
Which in reality, it probably be the other way around, right?
Conservatives feel so persecuted.
Lovers,
it's hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, the trailer was fucking awesome, so I had high expectations going in. But that was actually the last day theaters were open in New York. It was March 13th, I think.
Damn.
I was so fucking disappointed. I was like, oh man,
you gonna go back with a mask and shit, or what?
I don't. I know there's a couple movie theaters open. I think you do have to wear a mask, and there's 6 foot.
I don't think I'm gonna even bother, so I could fucking throw some popcorn in my face.
Yeah, I'll just wait it out.
I know comedy clubs are opening up again in New York. It's like 25% capacity and all that stuff, but it's it's encouraging.
It's like fucking with a rubber though. It sucks. It's like wearing 3 condoms to fuck. Like, what's the point?
How's California right now, Chris?
COVID wise?
Yeah.
We're in, I think we're at that 25% capacity right now. I haven't really gone anywhere as far as
shit anywhere.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
Dude,
but
we were built for
people
COVID.
wear masks and right. But it seems to be thawing. A lot of people are getting vaccinated across the board, across the country, of course. But most people I think have at least gotten the first shot, though I haven't yet.
I haven't got my first shot yet, but I plan on doing it very soon.
Me too, in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, my parents already got
technically
it. My sisters got it. Now, as you know, DMX passed away recently. And I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but I have a friend who's really deep into it, and it's kind of annoying sometimes. He just keeps sending me messages. I'm like, all right.
I got a few of them. Shit's fascinating, but yeah, if you're just buying into that,
I need some evidence to back shit up before I even
exactly. And he's got this link to DMX. Apparently, someone put out some shit. DMX died from being vaccinated. I swear to God, my buddy's dead serious about this shit. And next thing you know, after I get the message, I go on his Facebook, and it's just the whole fucking thing is that
DMX died because he got vaccinated.
I'm like, holy shit, man!
It's cracks.
I'm pretty sure DMX did cocaine.
Yeah.
I know he was in rehab, but he was just on. There's a rapper named Noriega from the '90s, early 2000s. And he has a podcast called Drink Champs or something like that. And this is like maybe 2 months ago, and DMX is on just fucking throwing him back. And I was like, I thought he was in rehab.
Dude.
Oh, you know.
And it's like we're at a point where everyone's getting vaccinated. You can't attribute every death to the vaccination, because it's not like people are going to stop dying while we get vaccinated. It's going to be the same rate of death as before. So anytime someone croaks, and they got vaccinated the week before, you can't just point at the vaccination and say that's why.
Right. And ironically, those same people who are doing that are the same people who are like, they're attributing everything to COVID. Like if somebody gets bitten by a shark, it was a COVID death. If they
now they're doing the
shit.
opposite with the fucking
exactly. It's all convenient bullshit. People need to chill out and just.
I can't like have a conversation anymore unless like something political. Like you just talk about fucking sports, or tell me about some broad you brought home the other night. And like
even all that's political at this point,
right?
Sports are all political and shit.
Yeah.
It's infected everything, and it's gross. It's like we don't have refuge anymore. And I don't mean players shouldn't be taking a knee and shit. I'm all for that. Like express yourself however the fuck you want, stand up to rights with whatever platform you have. I'm talking about the public reaction to it.
Exactly.
It's like, who gives a shit? If they take knees, just fucking say good for them.
Right.
You need to be.
Well, I know a lot of righties who were like, I'm boycotting the NBA because I'm like, I don't give a shit. I just want to see my fucking team win. I don't.
Yeah. How's it all wrapped up together? It's bizarre.
Right. I know. I'm involved in sports to the point where I don't even give a fuck who wins or loses. I just want to see a good game.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I like fights, because it's just two people. I don't have any team or geographical allegiance to them usually. It's like just two dudes testing themselves and shit. And I just want to see a good scrap and hope nobody dies from getting kicked in the head.
Yeah.
Which happens.
You see that? You guys see that Stipe and Francis fight?
I saw that shit. Chris doesn't give a fuck about fights or any sport.
Oh, really?
But, yeah.
It was fucking awesome.
It was. Francis Ngannou's the scariest human being on the planet. Dude,
John Jones, baby. Let's see it.
I know. I'm there for it for sure. That's the first time I've ever said I'm there for it, by the way, but I meant literally, like I will be there for it.
You're gonna fly out for the fight?
No, well, I mean literally I will be there to watch it. But
I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm not here for it. I'm there for it.
Definitely. I do miss that. I do miss watching games. Now, I think like a month ago, I went to see a Sixers game at the bar. It just felt. I feel like I've been locked inside so long that like, I feel like a feral. I've been feral or something, and I've just been introduced into society.
Have you thought about not living in New York City? Chris and I were talking about this with your screenwriter woes. Like, pick the most expensive fucking place to live, right? Trying to scrape by.
Yeah, it's actually not, for me, it's not as expensive as it would some other places. Like my rent, it's a room share. I don't have my own apartment, so I'm paying for a room. So it's really not that expensive. You don't need a car here.
That's true.
So people have told, maybe move back to Jersey or move back to Pennsylvania, but I'm like, you need a fucking car out there, man. Like,
true. That's true, man. The car is a pain in the dick too.
I hated driving a car, mostly because of the responsibility that came with it. I think the last time I drove was like, I've driven like U-Hauls and stuff, but last time I had a car of my own was like 2002 or something like that.
To me,
I haven't owned one for a while either. I by design, I live like 2.5 miles from where I work, and I walk as often as I can and take an Uber when I can. And when I occasionally have to go somewhere, I'll just Uber there. And
the last car you had was the shit, though. You had a Z4 convertible BMW. It was fucking baller.
Cruising around, Southern California was nice. Yeah, I do miss it, but man, not having to worry about the surprise repairs, the fucking, DMV shit, the fucking gas prices,
I used to get, I think I had my license more often than I've had, like actually had a license that I could drive. I used to get pulled over constantly, and it was like stupid shit. Like I remember I was in a red light, and it was like red for like 20 minutes. Like behind the red light was a railroad, and there was a train going by. I'm like, dude, I gotta go. I'm going left, and like I don't need to wait for the fucking train. So after like 5 minutes, I'm like, fuck this. I make a left. All of a sudden, I hear sirens behind me, pull me over, and give me a ticket, and I forgot all about the ticket, so I get pulled over. I'm like 20 years old at the time, and me and my buddy's got a fake ID, and we get some 40s, and we get pulled over while we have 40. So he's got the 40s hidden under his legs. Like he makes one minor move, and you hear a clink. The glass.
Oh shit!
But the cop didn't he didn't find out about the 40s, but my license was suspended. He's like, you didn't pay a parking ticket, so your buddy's gonna have to take this car impounded. They've let my buddy drive it back to.
I got arrested for driving on suspended once.
Oh,
but
arrested?
I did call the cop Roscoe P. Coltrane and tell him he was pathetic for hiding behind a fucking billboard to pull someone over for doing illegal U-turn on an empty road at fucking 2 a.m. So that didn't help my chances. But yeah, he took me in. But the fact that you're at their mercy, if he's in a good mood, if he's not, if he got a blowjob that morning, fuck you. I hate cops.
So yeah, that's a huge reason why I can see myself never having to own a car ever for the rest of my life. It's
yeah, it's just all the static that comes with it.
Don't have a kid,
right?
If you got a kid, you need a minivan and hauling shit all over the place. And,
I can't wait for self-driving cars, man.
I know people are so against that though. They think robots are going to be more
as if humans are great, like they can have heart attacks and just fucking go up. Yeah. Especially when we're old. By the time we become old and they've worked out all the kinks and shit, then you can get around without, you have some autonomy still, even if you can't drive. Be nice.
I like this virtual shit. Fuck needing to go anywhere.
Yeah, no shit.
I just need a teacher. I just need my kid to be older. That's the problem. He's 7. If he was 14, I'd be like, go do your virtual shit. I'm gonna run to the store or whatever, and he's still home. You know what I mean? But when they're little, you gotta fucking be around every second. This shit sucks your soul out.
Are both you guys parents?
No,
I'm not.
Yeah. Are you jealous of that?
A couple bullets. Hey man, I love my son more than anything on the planet, but I'm also man enough to admit, yes, I'm jealous as shit.
Yeah.
There's not responsibility.
For sure.
The worst thing on the planet to me. I hate responsibility of any stripe. It sucks to.
Yeah, I actually used to date a girl. I got her pregnant like back in like 2008, and I actually kind of wanted to have the baby, but she was like, "Oh, you'd be a bad father. You're a piece of shit." Blah blah blah. So she got the abortion. I was like, looking back, she's probably right. But
you're probably some tire salesman or some shit now. Hey, she might have freed you from this bullshit of screenwriting because you would have got a real job to be a dad.
Yeah, I know. And
not that
that's
I
exactly
have.
what would have happened.
Yeah, I've got a real job and no kids, so I don't know about that theory. But yeah, I've done the same. I've dodged a couple bullets in that regard. Had some slip ups in the past and abortion type situations, But I just left it up to the girl. I just let her, but I made it clear I wasn't really that big, ready or into it, to being a father.
Yeah.
I didn't embrace it either,
Yeah. Well,
it is the best thing on the planet, but it's
that actually inspired me to write my first feature film, A Suicide Theory. So I'm kind of glad it actually happened that way. And as much as I hate screenwriting, I'm not going to regret. I see the movies, even though no one's fucking seen them. I still see them as achievements, and
yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't trade them for anything. So I'm glad that girl had an abortion, so I can write that movie and everything else that that inspired me to write things. But that's the one thing I miss about screenwriting. It's been so long since I've had something I was inspired to write because I'm so busy writing everybody else's shit for
that
I'd
money.
probably be happier about it if I was getting good money for it, but
it's tough. It's a bad way to scrape by being a writer.
It really is. It really is.
Dude, I'm unemployable now. There was a period where I was like, I'm gonna try and get a job and sent out literally 80 resumes, would follow up with people and just crickets. They see a 10-year employment gap from writing, and the last jobs I had were, it's like I'm overqualified based on my resume because I worked these fucking satellite communication jobs for NASA and shit. And now it's you're trying to work at a fucking print shop or something, you know what I mean? So they're they probably all think I'm an junkie who fucking fell off the map for 10 years and now I'm trying to get my life together or some shit. I don't know, but I just couldn't even get a nibble. It's depressing.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. Like, well, I have like, what is it now? Like a year and a half gap between my last job.
Well, COVID helps with that for a lot of people, I think.
Definitely.
But it doesn't help with job prospects. I mean, I don't know how healthy the job market is right now.
Not super healthy. Like, I don't really have like a strong skill set. It's either writing or it's bartending or, you know, waiting tables for, and you can make you some money bartending. Like, that's pretty, every time I had a bartending job, things were going pretty well. And if you're single in New York City, like, you might as well be a fucking fireman. Like, if you're a bartender, you're a fucking hero, dude. Like, you're gonna pick up girls. Dude, bartenders and firemen. But yeah, I'm still waiting for things to open up a little bit. And because to be honest, I'm fucking tired of writing. And
you can't be writing shit you're not into unless it's for a shitload of money. And even then,
I try my best to like relate to the material and stuff, and I do my best with it. But sometimes it just doesn't, you know, it doesn't flow. It takes you a little while to. So meanwhile, you have a producer. Oh, how's the script going? Like, you're like, leave me the fuck alone. And like,
yeah.
They aren't even real producers. If they can't find the money to pay you some real money, they aren't even fucking really producers. Fuck those people.
Yeah.
I hope they see this episode, whoever they are. Fuck them.
Yeah. Well, at this point, this is what, like an hour into the hour or so into the episode. I recorded some other shit too, so you know, they probably tuned out. It's like I looked at the statistics for the like the views on my last episode, and it like spikes at like 10 minutes and then just goes fucking down and stays flat for the rest of the fucking. And then there's like a slight spike for about 45 minutes in, and it goes back down.
How many episodes have you done? Just one, or
just one so far.
Was that with a guest?
Yeah, that actor. He's a friend of mine. We worked together in New York plenty of times. So what I'm doing, I'm like getting people on. I know are cool, and I know, you know, they just vibe with, and you know, I don't like preparing. Well, I'm lazy too. Like, I do have some people coming on that I don't talk to often. So I got the guy, he was the lead in one of my movies, but he was also on Prison Break though, the last season. So I gotta prepare a little something for him.
Just wing it, man. Fuck it. Hang out.
Yeah.
Have fun. Like, try and make your show fun for the guests, and then it'll be fun for the part of it. Are you putting your shit on Spotify and iTunes and stuff as just audio? Because I think that does better, honestly.
Really?
I think the 10-minute thing, a lot of people just don't want to sit and watch people talk for that long, or they'll tune out.
Like,
I like it, but
do you have to pay like a fee to get on Spotify and all that shit?
Well, you got to fucking host your shit somewhere. We use Podbean. It's like $15 a month, but I think Spotify hooked up with Anchor and it's free. Check out Anchor, and I think you can post stuff.
You guys have to provide transcripts and shit for it, or
no? Man, just put it up. Because a lot of people, they'll do it commuting or at the gym or whatever. They'll listen to shit, but to sit and watch YouTube videos, there's a million more entertaining things on YouTube than any podcast. You know what I'm saying? And they have all these other options right next to them they could click on and shit. Like,
yeah. Now I do even listen to stuff like this through YouTube myself. I use YouTube for pretty much everything. So like, even though if it might just be mainly auditory, like there's some, you know, we were talking about true crime stuff. You know, there's a couple true crime shows I listen to that there's no video, but it's still on YouTube, and it's just because I'm already in that ecosystem, and I just click.
Yeah, I do that too. I'll put on Rogan or something, and I'll just like, you know, clean the house or something like that.
Right.
Some people will,
and stuff.
Some people will. I'm just saying, I think that's where a lot of that 10-minute. I think your Spotify numbers might be longer than 10 minutes is all I'm saying for the audio. Who knows? But it's hard to tell. But it is tough, man. A lot of our episodes get like fucking 20, 30 views. I mean, it's stupid. And we only have 50 something subscribers, you know. We had Dead Poet Society reunion on with 3 fucking cast members and an Oscar winning writer. And that one has
got like decent amount of views though, right?
Yeah, it's got like 2,500 views, but it's not translating to subscribers and shit, you know. So it's tough, man.
So you gotta be like these other fucking YouTubers, and you know, they
gotta do it for fun.
The bell, no, hit the bell to get notifications.
Yeah, we don't do that shit.
Like, people need to be reminded of that at this point.
I know, like it's so fucking dumb.
Yeah.
I figure
over
though,
time.
shit takes time. Most
Yeah.
successful YouTubers say it took 2 or 3 years. Twitchers
Yeah, you gotta-
too. It takes years to get there, you know.
Yeah, you need to build content. You know, if people are considering subscribing and if they see you have 100 videos over the past year or two versus, you know, like just a couple or something, they're going to be more likely to think you're, you know, legit. You got
Some of the shit we do, we just know it's problematic as far as like we were talking about those double feature movie reviews we do.
Yeah.
First off, not everyone's going to want to see a movie review about Santa with muscles and Tobias Lindholm's A War and shit. So right there's one strike. Secondly, they might want to see a movie review about a war or Santa with muscles, but not both. Or you know what I mean? Or they don't want spoilers or whatever. It's just do what like Rogan said. Rogan just got lucky. Rogan said, I do what's fun.
Yeah.
And lucky for me, what I think is fun, and he has access to all these stars and shit. It blew up, you know. But just try and do what's fun. And if it's not, fuck it. But don't look at this as some way to pay the bills and shit, because that ain't gonna happen for years, if ever.
It's for me as a time filler, an excuse to fucking talk to people and instead of you know, get me off my keyboard for a little bit and you know, just have a conversation. So guys, I as I told you guys at the beginning, I am having some stomach issues where it requires me to make several trips to the bathroom.
We could call this. It's all good. I got a kid too.
It fucking sucks, dude. It's like I think it's been like a week now, bro, and it's just like it'll wake me up. I might get the worst pain in my fucking stomach.
Ugh.
I don't know.
Ulcer?
What's that?
Stress ulcer?
It could be something like that. It could be something like that. But like it's the kind of like you ever have to take a dump so intense that you gotta like take your clothes off and shit because you're fucking
gonna strip down for that shit.
Like, oh god, take off your shirt.
I like to take shits in the middle of the street, so yes, I always strip before.
So I got all this like yogurt for like, you know, probiotics and shit. I lost like I did lose almost 10 pounds in the past week, which I guess is pretty cool. But outside of that,
those ramen noodles and yogurt.
Very inconvenient.
That sucks, especially with your fucking roommates who sit in the bathroom for an hour. I read one of your complaints.
Oh my god, bro!
Jay and
I had my garbage can out, and I was ready. I was bent over that thing to fucking go. And
Jay
then
and
I heard the door open, and I was like, "Oh, thank fucking god!" And yeah.
Jay and I used to have a game where after we'd take a shit, we'd have to name it after a movie. So it'd be like Black Mass. Or I'm trying to remember some other. Damn, I wish
My Bloody Valentine.
Yeah, exactly.
That's when I had colon cancer. Shit.
Oh yeah, you survived. You're a cancer survivor.
Yeah, technically.
What do you
I had
mean?
stage 3 cancer. I mean, yeah, technically, yeah, but I just slept walk through it all. I didn't give a fuck. I didn't like. It wasn't the battle of my life and crying, and I just didn't make it dramatic. I just took the meds and did what the fuck I had to do and survived it. So I don't act like I'm some hero and shit, but I'm still here.
All right.
I have 14 inches less of large colon. So like you, sometimes I'm like, I gotta take a shit. It's hilarious. You know, when somebody smokes a cigarette and you want to smoke a cigarette because you saw it, I kind of feel like I have to take a shit now that you're talking about shitting.
Psychosomatic shitting.
Sympathy shit.
Hilarious.
Shits. Yeah, I love
On that note, we can call
Guys, thank you so much for coming on.
We didn't bitch about screenwriting.
It's always fun to talk to you guys about, you know, just regular shit, movies, and whatever, man. It's always
sure, man. We'll be back. Come back on ours sometime, whatever, man.
Oh, absolutely. And I swear to God, next time I'm gonna have some liquor nearby.
Hey, you hate on shit a lot too, right? Because one thing we like to do in Cinephiliacs, like if people go check out Them Thorntons on YouTube. Hard Out is our show. Subscribe, you fuck faces, please. We did one of that Malcolm and Marie movie where we have like one buddy on who hates it and one who loves it.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, you had Ryan Jackson on, right?
Yeah, Ryan will be good on your show too. He'll do.
I hated that. I hated that fucking movie.
Oh shit!
So you'll be with him.
All right.
But see, that's what I'm saying. You're a good hater. So any movie you hate that's popular, come on.
Yeah,
we'll find somebody who likes
dude.
it.
Definitely. I'm gonna put a link in the description to your guys' podcast, and you know,
And
hopefully
watch
it
Cactus
gets
Jack
really
people.
1 or 2 subscribe. I don't know. I have like 270 subscribers, but it's from a short film I produced and wrote that people seem to like. It got like 40,000 views, and all my subscribers joined just because of that fucking thing.
All right.
Yeah, I am gonna put a link to your guys' podcast and put a link to Cactus Jack.
Sweet.
Where can we catch Cactus Jack?
If you go to cactusjackfilm.com, it'll take you there. There's a button to go. It's on Vimeo for now, but like you said, it is in the process of going up on iTunes, Amazon, and all that shit. And our manager actually pulled in a UK publicist.
Oh, really?
It's like all her Lars von Trier shit. She watched it and loves it. So she took a cut of her normal rate to cover Europe and UK. So hopefully we can blow it up there, because I think it's getting a way better reception in Europe than America, where everyone's politically, as we said, obtuse and shit.
Yeah, fuck America, man.
Hopefully it blows up, but it'll be on Amazon, iTunes soon and shit. But if you want to watch it now and get in early, go to cactusjackfilm.com. It'll take you to Vimeo, where with one click you can sign up through Facebook or Google or whatever and get it on Vimeo.
Awesome. All right, thanks again, guys.
Thanks, brother.
All right, man.
You're the man. Keep hating. Go shit. Peace.
Take care.